Good morning. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We are here to present the Clean Air Now bill package. We appreciate you guys taking some time to discuss this important package of bills with us. The Clean Air Now Coalition is a group of organizations and companies that are invested and interested in pursuing solutions right now, that we don't have to wait until some future time to be able to provide our seniors, our children, our hardworking adults, and some of our most disadvantaged communities the opportunity and the access to clean air. We have come together with these great authors to author and put forward a package of bills that tries to accomplish this goal, and we thank them for their time, for their energy, and for their courage to move forward with this, and we thank them as well. So we're going to turn it over quickly to Senator Galgiani, who's authoring SB 216, and hear a little bit more information about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson, and I really want to thank Clean Air Now for this great package of bills that I think is really going to do a tremendous amount to get us toward our goals. In 1998, when the Carl Moyer program was established, we knew that there was tremendous potential for that program. And when I was in the Assembly, we made some changes to that to update it. And once again, it's time to update and modernize the program to fit today's environment that's out there. So today, nearly 40% of greenhouse gas emissions are created by the transportation sector, by our trucks, our cars, our buses, and we need to focus on this sector so that we can make great leaps in getting toward our goals. Nearly 90% of NOx emissions are in the Central Valley alone, and with many cities in the region getting ranked annually in the top 10 most impacted by air quality in the entire United States. But we know that the moment an older truck is replaced by a more modern, clean truck, air pollution is reduced. So while we continue to work to address this issue with great programs like the Carl Moyer program, once again, there is still a lot of work to be done by updating and modernizing this program. That's why I'm proud to author SB 216. And we know that by replacing 400 older diesel trucks with low emission standard trucks, it's the equivalent of taking more than 22,000 passenger cars off of our roads and highways. Small truck fleets, those companies that have one or two trucks, make up the majority of fleets in California. So it makes sense to come up with a way to allow those fleets to partner with a larger fleet to apply for the Carl Moyer incentives. SB 216 will establish a streamlined process for fleets to partner together to remove some of California's dirtiest trucks and replace these trucks for smaller fleets with the newer, updated trucks that actually are below the standards that are required by the air boards. SB 216 offers an easy way to get low-emission clean trucks to small and family-owned trucking companies. It's imperative that we work fast, and we're here today together to work toward that goal. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Galgiani. We now hear from Assemblymember Patrick O'Donnell on AB 1406.
Great, thank you. And thank you to all our partners here today who like me, are seeking clean air in California. My name is Patrick O'Donnell. I represent the 78th Assembly District. That's Long Beach, Signal Hill, San Pedro, and Catalina Island. But I also have the two busiest ports in the nation. Okay, when we have busy ports, there's lots of goods movement and lots of dirty air. We've done a lot of work over the last 15 years or so to clean the air in my district, but there's more to do. And that's what today is about. It's about clean air in my district, clean air across California. Goods movement, again, as has been mentioned, is really the single largest driver of pollutants in our state, and we need to further address this issue. California has rolled out a number of policies to address climate change, for sure. These policies are ambitious with long-term goals. But we must ferment the technology needed to go green by innovating, not just regulating. Policymakers set the bar for clean air, and then industry, through innovation, helps us develop the technology to meet that bar. California has a variety of carbon-neutral clean fuels that are available right now. We have clean fuel available right now, and we need to access it. These fuels can be used today to reduce carbon emissions and clean California air. The Alternative and Renewable Fuel Program was created to support innovations in a broad portfolio of transportation and fuel technologies. It has been successful largely because it embraces a fuel-neutral strategy. However, there have been recent efforts to undermine the integrity of this program and allocate all funds to a single government-decided technology. Not a good thing. We must remain technology neutral. We must let industry meet the bar. They will do that through innovation, hardware, and we will ultimately achieve cleaner air with that. My bill, AB 1406, will ensure all fuel options are considered for the Alternative and Renewable Fuel Program so that we can continue to develop the deployment of existing fuels that can clean the air today. We don't need to wait. We can act today to get clean air. Clean air requires not just regulation, but also innovation. We should not mandate one technology, but develop many to ensure clean air and a greener economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblymember O'Donnell. We will now hear from Assemblywoman Sharon Quirksova to talk about AB 1115.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you for having me, and thank you to the Coalition of Clean Air. And as was noted by our previous speaker, I'm going to steal his line. Regulation is, what did you say?
Don't just regulate, but also innovate.
Don't just regulate, but also innovate. I really like that because over 10 years ago, as I was on the local city council in Fullerton and was a member of SCAG and on the transportation committee, we started talking much about what we're actually implementing. And when we were talking over 10 years ago about SB 375, which would start to look at planning and transportation together, some of the goals that were projected, there was a huge amount of concern and complaint, and yet we've seen that not only have we achieved those goals, but we've surpassed them. So being ambitious and bold is very important in reducing and making sure that we are reducing those greenhouse emissions, but being flexible is as important. It's a little bit like the chicken and the egg when we start talking about changing from what our current practice is with vehicles and their owners and what the future will look like. So my AB 115 includes the full scope of value added by fuel sources that reduce emissions for vehicles and industry under the low carbon fuel standards. The importance of using every fuel at our disposal is to reduce our reliance on carbon intense fuels, gasoline and diesel, as we transition to a green economy. Now, I take this part really seriously because we talk about our drivers through California and what type of vehicles they're driving. We know until we can bring down the cost of some of our electric vehicles, many are going to continue to drive the vehicles they have. For example, I drive a Volvo, a very safe car, and eventually we will transition as a family. But right now, my brother-in-law owns a Volvo shop, and he repairs Volvos. So it's hard for us to transition when we have 4 paid vehicles, but we want to get there. And like me, there's many others that do want to participate. The cost is an issue. California has proved over the past decade it is possible to meet our ambitious standards, emission goals, and still thrive. The development of low carbon fuels which meet our emission standards has been an important component of that push. AB 115 ensures California's low carbon fuel standard does not play favorites. And this is a really important. As the government, we need to make sure we use all of the types of fuels and types of positions that we have there. I know for the electric vehicles, we still are looking at charging stations. We're still looking at the infrastructure. So for us as assembly members and legislators to put all of our eggs in one basket, I think limits us. So looking at multiple options like flex fuel is very important. So thank you for being here, and we look forward to moving our bill. Thank you.
So you just heard from our three authors, and again, we'd like to thank them for authoring these bills and moving forward with having this discussion in the legislature this year. Now we're going to hear from one of our coalition members, a diverse group of folks and organizations that are invested in this theme and our goals of what we're trying to accomplish. I want to introduce you to Joy Lafia from the Western Propane Gas Association.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you everyone for being here today. I would also like to thank the California Natural Gas Vehicle Coalition on behalf of the Western Propane Gas Association for inviting us to this very important event. Whether we're talking about natural gas, propane, or biofuels, it is vital that the California legislature adopt a philosophy that protects and promotes the type of energy diversity you heard about today. That's why I'm proud to offer our support for the Clean Air Now package. I'd like to briefly talk about the critical role propane plays in California's ability in its greenhouse gas emission reduction goals. While most people probably associate propane with a backyard barbecue, the fuel also represents a reliable and affordable source of clean energy. In urban areas like Los Angeles and the Bay Area, propane fuels everything from commercial forklifts, commercial vehicles, and school buses. In rural areas, you'll find propane used to heat homes, cook food, dry clothes, and generate electricity. Propane does all of this in a way that offers enormous economic and environmental benefits today. For example, today, propane vehicle manufacturers are building to the ultra-low NOx engine standard of 90% cleaner than the current EPA standards that's found with conventional fuels. If we were to replace all of the older school buses with cleaner low NOx buses, we'd remove 4.5 million pounds of NOx emissions annually, providing cleaner air for 244,000 kids who ride school buses both to and from school daily. Today, propane is part of Zero Net Energy building regulation, providing energy-efficient appliances for consumers, as well as a complementary energy source for solar-powered homes when battery power is low. Today, propane is also providing building energy resilience. If the power is down because of a blackout or, say, a storm, propane generators can be used as backup power, critical for some of the most vulnerable communities. That's today. Now let's talk about what's on the horizon. Our organization is committed to next generation propane, which is 100% sustainable. Renewable propane from sources like food waste, animal fat, vegetable and cooking oil, even forest waste, and methane capture from dairy farms are all possible. All of these feedstocks offer Californians a low carbon or even negative carbon energy solution. Because of this, our organization would like to make clear the following points. California needs energy diversity, and propane is part of that mix. The propane industry is committed to next generation sustainable propane complemented with advanced technologies in both equipment and engines. And propane, along with other clean energy fuels, has a role in reducing emissions, reducing costs, ensuring sustainability for California's vehicles fleet today, tomorrow, and beyond. So in closing, I would like to offer my thanks and reiterate our support for the bills you've heard about today. I thank Senator Galgiani, Assemblymember Quirk Silva, as well as Assemblymember O'Donnell for their leadership on these very important initiatives. These bills will help foster an economic and political climate for clean alternative energy and contribute to California's green energy economy.
Thank you, Joy. And so in closing, I just wanted to kind of hit on some interesting points. I just want to be clear. This is not an attack on a particular fuel. I believe, as someone who was born and raised in California, we are a large and diverse state. And represented by the authors behind me, going from Stockton to the ports all the way to Orange County, there's a lot that can be done in California. I believe California can walk and chew gum at the same time. We need to be investing in a multitude of solutions to provide folks with clean air now in order to get to the ambitious goals that we have. I think it's very important, and I think that we'll be judged by how well we do that years from now, long after we're gone. And this bill package is the first attempt to get that done. Thank you for your time, and we open it up for any questions from the audience. Thank you.